Reggie here, your friendly neighborhood bodybuilder and comic book collector, and I want to welcome you to another one of my recordings. I'm going to let you guys in on a surprise. It's maybe a shocker, but I am not a comic book expert. I am not. I am not a comic book expert. I know a lot about comics. I do. But I am not a comic book expert. I will be the first to admit that. And I say that for lots of reasons. And I say it primarily because this is a very, very broad hobby. You know, this hobby of comics has been around for decades. There are lots of publishers, thousands of creators. There are numerous genres, pre-code horror to good girl to westerns to superheroes. There is so much to learn with this hobby. And don't even get me started with like the ancillary things like original art and collectibles and third-party grading, right? This is a broad hobby. And that makes it really wonderful, but it also makes it challenging as well, right? And I am the first to admit that I am not an expert in all things comics. And, it's one of those things where, my knowledge base has expanded over the last couple of years since I came back into the hobby at the end of 2017 into 2018. I've learned a lot. But what I've also learned as my knowledge has expanded is that there is a lot that I don't know. There is a lot that I don't understand, right? And, I know a lot about Amazing Spider-Man, for example, but I would promise you that they're dollars to donuts, right? That they're coins to comics, that there are lots of people out there that actually know a whole lot more about Spider-Man than I do, the backstory, the various creators, etc., etc. And because there is so much rich knowledge out there that people have, I try to maintain a spirit of humility, just because there's a lot that I don't know, right? And I readily admit that. And so, my thing is I am trying to, as best I can, to maintain a learner's mindset, right? I try to maintain a learner's mindset, which is a mindset that is based in humility, right? But it's also a mindset that allows one to be receptive to other people's thoughts and suggestions, and the notion that someone else can actually know more than you. That learner's mindset allows you to be receptive to so much input and so much information. And that doesn't mean that you don't necessarily have preferences. It doesn't mean that you don't necessarily say no or that's not my thing, but you at least try to hear it. You at least try to hear a little bit about it in order to make an informed decision versus hearing things and being like, no, that's wrong. Right? I try to maintain a spirit of receptivity, and it actually helps me. It actually helps me in several different ways. And I think I'm only going to talk about a couple of them, but this mindset of a learner helps me in a lot of different ways because it allows me to actually take in new information, like new information from you guys. I learn a lot from the subscribers of this channel, and I learn from you through the comments that you post up. I learn from you in the direct messages, in the emails that you actually send to me. There is a great deal of knowledge that I get from the comments. And people are always like, well, how did you come up with this video or that video? I didn't come up with that video. I didn't even come up with that idea. The idea came from a subscriber who actually posted up a question or a comment or a statement or whatever it is in the comment section. I read it, I noodled it, and then all of a sudden this idea came out of that. It wasn't like my original thought. And I can tell you for a fact that many of the things that I talk about on this channel actually originate from you guys because I try to maintain a receptive posture, a learner's mindset. And I don't always get it right. Be completely honest, don't always get it right, but I try. I try to get it more right than wrong. And I think that is my objective, right? But because I try to maintain this learner's mindset, I think it also allows me to be a good ambassador for this hobby. I think that it allows me to be a good ambassador for this hobby. And I can tell you, you guys may be able to attest to this. Have you ever gone into a comic shop and encountered a worker or an owner in a comic shop who knew everything, who was infallible, who could not make a mistake, who just was an encyclopedia of everything there is to know about comics? And then how did that make you feel if you asked that person a question? How did it make you feel if you asked that person a question and they gave you that answer in that tone that made you feel a little less than? I have encountered that, and I've actually spoken about this in previous recordings that I've done. I've actually, early on when I came back into the hobby, and certainly when I was younger, I've encountered people that work in comic shops that have made me feel stupid, that have made me feel less than. And that's never a good feeling. It's never a good feeling. And so what I try to do when I engage with people is I try to maintain that spirit of receptivity, that spirit of openness, because what I try to remember is that as much as I know, there's a lot that I don't know. And there are a lot of people that I engage with that know even less than, and some even more than me. And so I try to maintain that spirit of openness so that I can learn from those that do know more and help those that know less. But to help them, I must first be receptive and not hammer them with my opinions and my point of view to the point where they actually shut down, because that does not help anybody. That does not help anybody if people actually shut down. And again, I don't always get it right. I don't always get it right. And one of the things that most readily comes to mind is I was having an exchange with a subscriber who followed me on Instagram but did not necessarily watch the channel. And I was having an exchange with this person, and there were questions that were being asked, and I'm like, well, I'm thinking to myself, is this person playing with me? Or are they being genuine? And what I realized after giving maybe a couple of curt answers, I realized that this person genuinely did not know the answer. Genuinely did not know certain things. And I had to pause, and I had to back away from what I was saying. And I had to change my point of view so that I could actually be helpful instead of harmful to this person. And this person was asking me questions around, I don't understand the numbering associated with comics. Don't I need to start at the number 1 in order to know what is going on? Isn't that the way that it's supposed to be? Don't I need to collect every single comic in order to actually sit down and read these so that I know what's what? Where do I start with this particular character, that particular character? And as I was hearing these questions, I'm like, really? And then it dawned on me that this person actually did not know, and that I had an opportunity to actually have a positive impact on this person that I was talking with. I had an opportunity to be an ambassador for this hobby and to maybe help this person in this hobby to see that this was a hobby that they could be a part of, to see that this was a hobby that was welcoming instead of a hobby of people that did not welcome people in, right? And so I was able to make that adjustment, and I'm very thankful that I was able to kind of snap out of what I was in to actually help this person. And then I saw that they actually, like the next day, or no, maybe 2 days later, got a pull box at the comic shop. That was cool. That was cool to go from where that conversation was to seeing this person get their very first pull box. That was a rewarding thing for me. And to be honest, I don't even know if this person is actually ever going to hear this recording, right? But it was, and I would probably never actually say anything to this person, but it was a rewarding thing for me to see the progress that this person has made. I have come to realize over these last couple of years that people have allowed me to be part of their lives. on a daily basis in some cases. And that is an amazing feeling. It is such an amazing feeling to hear stories of things that people are going through and how they've actually found some solace in the videos that I've put out there. It reminds me, when I get these messages, when I get these direct messages or emails or comments, it reminds me that I am an ambassador for this hobby, and it feels amazing. I'm gonna be completely honest. It is an amazing feeling. But here's what I've also come to realize. I've come to realize that each one of us is actually an ambassador for this hobby. I've come to realize that each one of us has the ability, through the comments that we leave behind, through the posts that we put up, through the conversations that we have in the comic shop or in the chat. We all have an ability to influence someone else. We all have the ability to be an ambassador that actually positions this hobby for the long term, that positions it as a hobby that is receptive to new people. The learner's mindset allows us to be open to other people. It allows us to welcome other people in. We are ambassadors. And the question becomes, who are you going to influence?